Now you can hear me. Now, great. Hi. So, my name is Tomáš Bella. I'm co-founder of Denník N, the newspaper founded in Slovakia. And I want to tell you a story that actually starts with this very strange picture. The picture is, it's a front page of the newspaper where I used to work for. It's the biggest daily paper in Slovakia. And it shows, this was taken 8 years ago, and it shows empty newsroom. The newsroom is empty on the picture because on that day, the oligarch connected with the biggest corruption scandals in the country actually decided to buy the newspaper. And with our colleagues, with about the half of the newsroom, about 40 people, we decided that we are not going to work for this guy, and we are going to quit, and we are going to have our own newspaper, right? It should be easy. So we basically created a business plan that seemed quite crazy at that time and still seems quite crazy. Here are the three main points. So first, let's only do the most expensive things, right? So let's not do any clickbait. Let's not do any easy lifestyle articles. Let's not hunt for a lot of audience. We will only do the most expensive things. So we will be doing the investigative journalism. We will be doing the long form articles, huge analyses. We will be traveling the world and writing long expensive pieces to actually go in depth. The second idea, that's first good part of every business plan. The second idea, okay, we only hire journalists, and that's partly because we don't know anyone else, So when this thing with the oligarch happened, 40 people from the newsroom said, no, we are not willing to work for the oligarch because he's corrupting the country. But no one from the business department said that, and no one from the software developer said that, and no one from the other department. So we basically were only journalists, and we said, okay, we actually have to do everything ourselves because there's no one else to help us. And third, okay, let's make the readers to pay for all of this, So we know what is the problem with the advertisement in this setup. The oligarch was actually making it very clear that he will actually go around the country and go around Bratislava and say, really try to persuade people not to advertise with us because we are bad people and we should not be given any money, right? So first, how it looks in terms of the hiring only journalists. This is actually a photo of our CEO. He's, as you can see, he has a doctor's degree from law, and here he's answering the help desk questions in my living room. So that was our first office, this was our stuff when we actually started. One of the first crazy idea was that, as you know, in our region, in our good old Austria, Hungary. Temporarily separated into different countries. It's very common for the oligarchs to buy the media. It's very common for the journalists to leave. But most of the media that were founded in Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, Hungary before were very small outlets. And we said, no, we are not going to make another five people outlet or 10 people outlet. We actually have to try to make something big, like a big serious paper that will actually compete with the biggest guys. So we had 45 people in the beginning, which seems quite crazy. We had one software developer that was after the first website. The first website was also actually built by a journalist, because he realized he was a writer, but when we quit to a new company, suddenly we realized, there is one writer who actually knows how to work with WordPress, so he created the WordPress website. But then we hired one guy, we had only one salesperson. Everything was actually done by journalists. In terms of the content strategy, this is again it's not like we had nice slides like this at the beginning. We had nothing at the beginning, and it was just crazy, insane chaos. But in retrospect, this was the strategy in terms of what we want to write about, right? So I already spoke about the most expensive part, and that's the long articles, investigative pieces. You need to spend weeks on that, and the result is usually very in-depth article. For example, there is also a print newspaper which is 16 pages, and quite often we have an article which just one article is the whole 16 pages. So you buy the newspaper in the morning and you think you will learn what happened yesterday, but you will actually not learn what happened yesterday. You should have learned that on the website the day before that, but you will only have one article about China or about something else, but you will really understand China quite well. So we are doing the long form articles and really investigative pieces that actually bring revenue because that's what people are paying for. And then we are doing some on the opposite side, very short, very fast breaking news that actually bring traffic, and we are trying not to be in the middle. And this is actually quite a big change, because previously most of our articles were in the middle. Like most of the articles that most of the papers are producing are kind of like 500 words, 600 words articles. Someone else broke the story. We added some quotes and we did something on top of it, but it's not like groundbreaking, but it's kind of nice thing in the, like 1/4 of the newspaper or 1/3 of the page, or like article in the newspaper. We are trying not to do that at all, so like if our competition breaks the story, we just link to it in the news. We are happy to send people to the competitors, and we just move on, and we try not to do those kind of Me Too stories like, okay, someone else wrote something, so we will do it as well, but it will not really be very great. You can actually see the strategy on the website as well. So it's as simple as it can be. So one side, long articles, all of them are paid. You have to be a subscriber if you want to read it. Right side, short news. You can read it for free. That part brings traffic, so that's why people go to the website, and that is constantly feeding them to the left side, to the actual paid articles. Now, the big thing about this, and it's not accident that I said like there are only journalists. So at the beginning, all our journalists are shareholders, so we have some investors, but most of the company is owned by the employees. And in the beginning we said like, look around, like there is no marketing department, and this is not a great place, I think, this conference to say it, but we are quite proud that we don't have a marketing department after 9 years. Still, we don't have any person for that. Like we don't have an HR department and all those kind of, useless stuff. But we said like, look around, like there are only us journalists, so there is no business department that will take care of the money. Like it's only if we write stuff that actually people want to read and people want to pay for, then we will survive. If not, we have money for like 4 months, and then we will go bankrupt and we will stop, after 4 months. So how we started to do this is basically, again, the journalists have incredible freedom. Like they are shareholders, they almost cannot be fired. Like at least like in 9 years we haven't fired anyone, so it's a good place to get employment if you are thinking about it. We just constantly are trying to feed them data about what the readers actually want to pay for. And what readers want to pay for is very different compared to what readers want to kind of read in terms of the metrics, So it's not page views, because you know that if you want a lot of page views, you can probably put sex in the headline, or you can write about some stars, and you will get a lot of page views. It's not kind of so easy to cheat people if you want actually subscriptions, So we started feeding the data to journalists. So this is the email that every morning, every person in the newsroom gets an email. This is how many subscriptions different articles actually sold yesterday. This is the second kind of email, even more brutal, that every journalist gets once a week, and it's listing your own individual articles, and it's okay, how many articles, how many subscriptions your article sold, how many new registrations your article brought, and the last one, the most brutal, like what did you write that actually didn't sell anything, And this is, we are never saying to people, you should stop writing that. We are just constantly giving them information. They are kind of encouraged to think about it if they want to keep doing that or not. This is the online dashboard that all the newsroom is looking at. And again, if you are in the media, you know that this is kind of the same as Chartbeat and like 20 other copies of Chartbeats that are out there. The one difference for us is that we don't care about the page views. We care about the number that is there, the second from the right, like how many new subscriptions the article sold, And this is constantly what we are looking at. And you can see the second number on the left is actually what is the conversion rate, So like from the look on this, you can actually see, okay, this article already sold a lot of subscriptions, but it has like kind of life behind it. And this one actually has a good conversion rate, but it's quite new, so we can keep it up on the front page because it will actually keep selling, and it actually has a lot of potential. Now the funny thing happened, like this is the list of, I checked this again, like in 9 years, what are the best selling articles that we had. And you can see actually like 3-4 of those actually got the biggest Slovak journalism award as well. So these are actually, there is a very high correlation between this list and the list of our best articles that we think are the best. These are big investigative pieces. The mafia in Belize is we have a mafia guy, Slovak guy who is hiding in Belize, and Interpol cannot find him, but we found him. He found him on the crosswalk and made an interview with him, and he's still in Belize. The second, big investigations of corruptions, we spent months on that and so on. And those are actually the same kind of articles that actually bring subscriptions. So this was the quite a risky experiment, but it worked in terms of we realized that people actually want us to write the same kind of things that we want to write, because everyone wants to investigative pieces and not something about, movie stars are fine, not something about sexual scandals of movie stars, let's say, that actually bring a lot of clicks and a lot of advertising revenue. So we actually realized the correlation between what the data about subscriptions are telling us is very strong with what actually we think is a good journalism. So it's actually giving us much better incentives than the advertising model where you want to have a lot of page views, and when you have a lot of page views, then you have a lot of programmatic ads and so on. This is another interesting thing that happened. On the top, you see number of our articles that we published in each year, and mind you that in 2015 we had 40 journalists. And in 2022, we have 100 journalists, So we have more than double the number of journalists, and they are writing less articles than they were 9 years ago. And the reverse is with the length of the article, So now our typical article is now twice longer than it was in 8 years ago. And we never told people, please write longer articles, that would be insane. The editor's job is always to make it as short as possible. That didn't change. But by feeding the data to people, they actually kind of started to learn that, okay, the more value I provide in each article, the more successful I will actually be, People actually want to read in-depth articles, So if 15 years ago, there was a time when in all conferences like this, everyone was saying, oh, young people don't want to read long things, and they are only on short videos and so on. What we realized actually, if you are in the business of not clicks, but actually selling subscriptions, it's exactly the opposite. People actually, I haven't seen a complaint about article being too long for a couple of years, but almost every week I have a complaint this was 10,000 words, but I would really like to read more about it, And sometimes this goes to the extremes, some of our articles are so long that we are publishing them as books then, I feel we have 5 of those. That's still an exception, but basically people are pushing us, saying, please give us more details, give us more background, give us more detailed understanding. So basically, if you want to be successful as a journalist in this system, you have to give people something that no one has given them before. But that's what actually journalists like to do. Everyone likes to sit down and work on one piece for 2 weeks instead of having 2 articles out every day. So this is where we are after these 9 years. The website has 1.5 million unique users. About 20% of those are registered. About 11% actually paid subscription at once. And we have 72,000 active subscribers at the moment, which is almost 2% of Slovak population. By the way, you can actually use this. It's very often the question okay, we want to start with subscriptions. How many subscribers we will have? So 1.6 is a very good number, but even 5% is a good number, but usually already 1% is a good conversion rate. So if you have a traffic, you calculate what is the 1% of that, and that is a very good goal to have in first 2, 3, 4 years to actually convert those to subscribers. And we started in Slovakia 5 years ago. We established the second paper, so we are in Czech language as well, and we have now in third language for Hungarian minority in Slovakia. So there's first 3 on the website. And as I said, we grew from 45 to 120 employees. This is a photo from last week, and up to 100 journalists. So basically grew from guys who are unemployed into the biggest newsroom in Slovakia in those 8 years. And these are the financial results. So this graph looks like a made up, but it's not made up. So last year we had like 6 million revenues and about 1.5 million profit. So actually the model, and we kind of never dreamed that we would get like more than just on the zero, when we started 9 years ago. But once the great advantage, of course, of that subscription model is it scales very well, right? So once you start actually selling a lot, then it scales much faster than actually your costs can scale. The important graph is on the right. You can see we are still doing ads. We have nothing against ads, but we now have double the number of salespeople. So we have 2, so out of those 120 people, we have 2 salespeople. Our old newspaper, for example, they are roughly the same size in terms of subscriptions, but they have like 20 or 30, So it's much smaller, and we are really terrible on doing ads. And we have we have books, we have some print as well. But in reality, two-thirds of the revenue is actually subscriptions, and the share is actually growing, which is quite interesting. Now, this is the part of the presentation where I will play like a mind trick, like reading what you are thinking. And I'm pretty sure like a lot of the people, always I'm taking like they are thinking like this. Okay, it's very nice that in Slovakia people are paying, but in Croatia, Croatia is very different. We Croatians, we don't really like to pay that. We like to get things for free and so on. And if there is one thing I've learned, this is the case in every single country in the world. I have been working with subscriptions for like 15 years. And I swear to God, like 15 years ago, I was doing presentation like this in Norway, in Oslo, and one guy raised a hand and said like, maybe this works in US, but Norwegians, we don't like to spend money, and we will never pay for content online. We are very different people. So at least you can be assured that you are in the same place that everyone thinks before it happens. It thinks it's not possible in my country because my country, people are special and they don't want to pay for it. So, but if you decided that you are actually doing this, we have a couple of like learnings or tips how to make this easier. So first, we have started really like shamelessly stealing ideas from other industries. So this is the screenshot from our software, which you can, by the way, check out. It's free. The subscription software, we are giving it out for free as open source. And this looks very nice. It's actually like marketing automation, like what kind of emails you send for the onboarding, what kind of emails you send, what kind of messages you show after a user subscribes, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after that. We have realized we have stolen this completely from the gaming industry. Actually like the first month that we started doing this 9 years ago, we realized, okay, gaming industry is actually in many ways like very similar to the subscription business, because they are in the business of getting a lot of people in the funnel, a lot of people playing games on the phones and so on, and most of them, of course, never paying, but their business is about how do they find that 1% or 0.1% of those people who will actually be so addicted that they will actually pay, right? So it's exactly the same case as we actually have. We have a lot of traffic, but we have to find that 1% that will pay, and then we have a lot of money. Second idea, this is the same graph I shown, but it's if you ask yourself, how do I get people from just visiting the site to actually paying every month? That's a very hard question, and I suggest you just break it down into smaller problems, right? So one problem is, okay, I have a lot of users, how do I get 5% of them to just give me an email, right? And that's already like a solvable problem. Then how do I forget about the money? How do I get people to just pay 1 cent, to just get one share? And again, that's much easier problem than to get like people paying every month, And in this regard, you can also kind of identify where is your problem. Like if you already have a subscriptions and you see, okay, I only have 500 subscribers, why? Then you kind of try to see where is the problem. Like you don't have enough people on the top of the funnel, you don't have enough traffic, or you don't have enough people who are engaged enough, and so on. So I will show just one example, like just the email one, right? Like how do we approach this? So we tried. We have only we are 2 people doing all the kind of online stuff in the company. So we said we don't have resources. So half a year, we are not doing anything else. We are just trying to get emails from people, right? And we created, I swear, 20 different services how to get emails from people. So we created normal buttons, subscribe to our newsletter, get the free article, and so on. Any idea we had, we just implemented, right? And in the end, almost all of them were unsuccessful. You can see the long list of unsuccessful. So for example, if you go to our site, you will not see the box of subscribe to our newsletter. It was there, but it was not performing very well, so we just kicked it out, So everything was unsuccessful until we just found one idea, and it was unlocking articles by a friend. I will show you how it looks. You go to the website. If you have to be paying the highest price, the 10 euros per month. You click on unlock the article, you copy the link, and you send it to your friends, or you put it on Facebook, and your friends click on it, and they will get the message, you have this great friend who donated the article to you, please give us an email and you can read it for free. And of course, this is generating usually thousands of new emails every day. And then of course, the normal process starts of, yeah, welcome, and we are giving you something for free, and now you can pay for a low price and so on, So that's just one example, but we really had to try 20 different services to find this one that actually works for us. We also have insane number of newsletters. So we have almost for every 2 journalists, we have 1 newsletter. So we made it extremely easy so that people are actually proud that I have my own newsletter as well as a journalist, and mine is about NFL, another one is about, I don't know, sex, another one is something else. We don't have about sex, but we should have. Because we made it extremely easy to actually journalists manage it. One of the there are many different types of newsletters. One of the most interesting one is, for example, that is obviously matching the usage on the website with the emails. So we take the list of the best selling articles every day, but we exclude those that you already clicked on yesterday. So you get every morning you get 10 best performing ones, but it's always the new ones, not the ones that you already read. So it's actually quite effective. The second one, what we call I don't need anything email, and this is very important because that most of the emails you expect that there should be a call to action, and we realize that actually emails without call to action are very effective because people don't expect them, They always expect that you want something from them, So when you just send an email this is how we are doing, and everything is fine, and thank you for your previous help, but we are fine now, people are reacting to this very greatly, and of course the open rate goes up, and then when you need something, then of course you have a better chance to actually get their attention. And one thing that works also extremely well is just constantly asking people questions. They are so happy when we are asking them by emails, we launched this new section, what do you think about it? Or we are covering now the political scandals, what do you think about it? People are so happy to be engaged and actually give us data about what works, what doesn't work. Another thing, we spend many months just trying many different ways how to get people to subscribe to newsletters. In the end, the one that is usually the most effective also wins, which means just stealing the idea from the New York Times. So basically, I can tell you, this is the way how most of the people subscribe to newsletters. Not the buttons, not the big buttons, not on the side, not the form. Actually, inline text where you just click once if you are logged in and actually see the result that you are actually subscribed. Now about the analytics, we have a rule that most of the analytics is useless, but you have to do a lot of useless things to actually find the one that works. So we have an analyst which is analyzing a lot of crazy ideas, and from time to time we find one gem that is actually useful, and then we implement that into the system. So this is one of the useful ones. For example, you have to read it from the right, so it's where are people who are paying coming from, So on the right, half of those people from the right came from the articles. This is very different for different publishers. Some of them had 5% coming from the articles. And those from the articles mostly came from social and so on, direct internal. For example, so immediately you can see here that a lot of publishers think, oh, Facebook is bringing us traffic which is low quality. People just click and go away. But for us, Facebook is actually bringing us very high quality traffic because it's actually bringing subscriptions as well, not just the traffic. Another example, this is the classical retention table. I just circled 2 months where the pandemic started, so it's a classical question, there is a huge demand, suddenly a lot of people are subscribing because COVID came, but what is happening with those people? And you can see, okay, in the second, third, fourth months, they are churning in a higher rate than the people pre-pandemic, but it's actually not so terrible, it's actually quite fun, so actually we can keep pushing that topic because it actually works not only for sales, for subscriptions. This is one of the most shocking things we had. Normally we operate on the assumption that the more you are using the service, the more valuable it is for you, and which means that you will actually be willing to pay more for it. We actually, in our case, it's completely reversed, so the more people are paying, the less they are reading the news, And in retrospect, you can actually explain it, like people who are paying 10 euros instead of 5 euros, they are probably more rich, they are probably more busy and so on, so have less time, But this completely changes your thinking about how you should market to those people, So if you want to persuade people to switch from 5 euro subscription to 10 euro subscription, I will not be saying, here is more content than you can read, because that's the last thing they want. They don't have more time to read. But I will be probably pushing like a very different message to them. This is the most simplified concept how we are thinking about the marketing of subscriptions. Basically, there are two kinds of people. One group will buy because they want to read the article. Second group will buy because they want to support your work, meaning support democracy, support free press, and so on. Of course, it's like often it's very mixed message. So like people have both reasons, but they are different weight. But the problem is that, of course, those two groups of people react to very, very different messages, And ideally, you would like to identify first, like who they are, like what kind of message they will react to. But it's extremely hard. So in our case, we are just thinking about this, like, okay, we are switching the messages. So, for example, first quarter, we are making the big campaign and pushing how important it is for democracy that we are actually paying for subscription. And we finish with that, we get some people, and second quarter we will say, okay, now we focus on those people who are actually looking for value, and we will introduce how many new authors we have, what kind of readers, what kind of articles they haven't read, and so on. And this can be also in the life cycle of author, life cycle of the user. So you can say first 2 or 3 weeks after the subscriber ended, you try to tell him how it is, what he's losing, like what kind of articles he can read. And if it doesn't work, you try to kind of the more bigger guns of, you try to blackmail him with, democracy will die if you don't support us again. As with the Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness. The only slide about pricing. So first, this is very strange, but I wanted to say because almost in every country I see the same. So your revenue is obviously, the formula is number of subscribers times revenue per subscriber, right? But the problem is that almost everyone is thinking more about the first part than the second part. Everyone is thinking about how many subscribers we have because it's nice to show the graph going up and down, ideally up, and not enough publishers are thinking about how to actually extract more value from that one user, So almost everyone makes a mistake of starting with too low price, and almost no one focuses on how do I get to people who are paying 4 euros to switch them to 5 euros. And it's actually very often very much more easily achievable than actually getting 10% more of people paying. Second, never have just one price. If you have subscription, even if you don't have any like special content to put in the higher package. What we did is complete extreme example. We said you can pay 5 euros or you can pay 10 euros per month 9 years ago. And what you will get for 10 euros? Nothing. Like, we are sorry, we don't have time, we are just new, you will get nothing. But you can still pay 10 euros. And sometimes in the future, we will give you something, And still like 20% of people just chose to pay more because they just liked us and just because we gave them the option. And third, no micropayments, please, never. People will be asking you, I just want to buy one article. This was proven many times in many countries. These people want this, but it's actually not good for you as a publisher to do micropayments because people will not get into the habit of paying. The most surprising pricing strategy, this is similar to what I said. When the COVID started, we had this crazy idea. We said, okay, we will say, if you want the discount, here is the 50% discount when people were losing jobs and so on. But if you don't need it, please don't take the discount and pay full price, And so this is a crazy window, and still in different segments, 10 to 30 people are choosing to pay full price in this window because they say, okay, it's fair, it's nice that you are giving discount to those people who lost jobs, but I haven't lost job, so I'm paying you the full price, So that's something that you have to see before, see, and only then you will believe. One of the last things, people paying are often not the same people as that are consuming. So, for example, in Czech Republic, we have a product which is called Online for Me, and print for my parents, which is the obvious idea. Like people are angry that their parents are voting for stupid people or forwarding stupid emails and so on. So I'm buying the product for me, but my parent will be getting the print every day into his house, and he will hopefully have to read it. The last thing, this is the project I was actually completely against, but it seems to work quite well. So we have started doing the debates, and I was against it because I thought it was not scalable, but it turned out it's actually scalable. This is the Slovak National Theatre, where we did a debate with the Slovak president and Czech president, and this is extremely good for retention. Like we were selling tickets for this, so this was a profitable thing for us, but still, like the tickets were sold out in 5 minutes, and now we are doing like 20 different debates every month, which is like crazy number. And the most successful one is actually the cheapest one, which is like 3 of our journalists are traveling the country, and they are talking about how to save the democracy, and people outside of the Bratislava are really happy to see it. And this is the last project we did. It was called We Are Moving to Your Town. So we took all the newsroom, or most of the newsroom, we rented Airbnbs, we rented the offices in like 7 different small towns around Slovakia, and we just moved the whole office into the town. And we were doing debates there, we were only writing articles about the town, so everyone in Slovakia had to read about what kind of problems they have and so on. And it was like incredible PR value that we actually are not the guys from the capital city, but we actually moved somewhere else and were listening to the different people's problems. So instead of summary, what you can do, first you can steal our ideas. We are stealing ideas from everyone else, so it's only fair. And also you can take a look at our software if you want. Again, it's free, it's in open source, and there is some support available. Second, if I can do anything for you in terms of if you need more data, we are more than happy to share our data, share our experiments, and so on. Just contact me on LinkedIn or email, and I'm happy to talk to you. Thank you.